I was a financial analyst and I could no longer analyze, but I was unwell and I was doing the best I could. And so, anyway, we talked about it and I left the workforce.
George and Ellie, how did you find Carnivore?
Well, Dave, first, I just wanted to say thank you for having us and giving us the outlet to encourage other people. Actually, I have been sick for about, let me say unwell, for about 4 years. The winter of 2020, I became, I know it now, it's the adrenal dysfunction, not Addison's, but basically where your adrenals don't make enough cortisol. And so you're very, very tired. And I'll kind of skip ahead real quick to answer your question and then go back. My brother, I'm the oldest of seven kids, and one of my brothers, the one right after me, he moved here from Florida to kind of build a community and family with us. Um, and he just moved here in June. And, I mean, obviously he's known me, his whole life. And it was hard for him to see how often I was bedbound just from being really tired. I think one of the biggest things with adrenal fatigue, because it affects your cortisol release, you're tired. And it's not just sleepy, it affects my muscles, being able to move. I mean, I can get up, but it takes a lot. It's almost like having the flu. When you have the flu, your body is fighting so hard that every movement you make is exhausting. That's what it feels like. And it was hard for him to see me like that. And I had never even heard. I mean, maybe I'd heard of Carnivore, maybe on X or something, but it wasn't anything I'd ever. I kind of thought it was like a fad, or maybe people who like meat. I had no idea about the medical implications, the blessings behind it. So on July 1st, my brother came to me. His name is Eric. And actually, if you hear mowing going on, he's actually mowing the lawn right now because I can hear the lawnmower. He came to me and he's like, "Hey, Allie, why don't we do Carnivore? Let's just, it's like the ultimate in giving your body space to heal." So I'm like, "Yep, I'll jump on it right now," because when you're sick, you're really desperate. You're really willing to try anything. There really isn't anything too crazy. You'll really try anything. So I hadn't even. That was the afternoon of July 1st. By the evening, we have farm animals here. I was out feeding the farm animals, and I'm listening to Carrie on Homestead How. It was one of the first things I found when I searched Carnivore, because again, I knew nothing, but I really like to dig and understand. And so I found Carrie, and it happened to be Carrie and his wife, and Carrie was talking about how Carnivore completely changed his life and his wife, but especially him, because he had depression and anxiety and of course the weight, but the the fact that he was even doing this. I mean, even for me, the fact that I'm doing this, I was hiding for a lot the last 4 years just because you feel like just awful, and that really hit me. And so that really got me excited about it. And I don't think my brother really knew either, other than little bits and pieces. And then I found Jenny Middich, who is big into data. Her channel is Carnivore, and she does all kinds of data, which I love. And that's when I started sending stuff back to my brother, like, "Hey, look at, these are the types. There's actually types of carnivore. I didn't know that." I started telling George about it, and we have two gyms. He's a small business owner. He's had two gyms for 20 years. So before he does anything, he really needs a lot of information because it's a small business, it's family focused. And so people are watching and, really wanting to know. And so he's wanting to make sure he's got all the bases covered. So he wasn't really ready. It really wasn't very, I don't think, very interesting to him. It was curious, but he wasn't really. It wasn't until I started noticing blessings in my health right away. And so about 14 days in is when he decided that he started 14 days after me. And I'll let him kind of take over on what made him decide. I mean, he's very supportive, and I know it was support, because I had chosen to do the lion diet. Again, desperate times, desperate measures. I wanted to give myself the best chance of success and letting my body heal. Um, so I'll go ahead and let George say how he started.
So yeah, being in the fitness industry, I've definitely heard of Carnivore before. But I have I have literally done anything from vegan to keto to pescatarian, and I would usually do these diets for a month and then report back to members or whatever on like what it did for me. So I've done that for years, and I found success in most diets. You find success when you do them how they're prescribed. Most people don't. Most people want to take what they like on this, what they like on this, and then combine the two, and then get upset when they don't get the results that they want. So, so, but I started watching as Allie she started just little things like I noticed just how she was still fatigued, but you could definitely tell there was a shift of just her mental state, and she seemed a little bit more positive. And there were bumps along the road in the beginning that I noticed that you naturally you kind of want to cheat, and so you kind of want to do like, well, I'm going to add that yes, I can have this on this thing, but it really wasn't doing well for her. And the thing I can think of is, what was it initially? I think it was Element or one
It
of
was
the
those drinks.
LaCroix drinks or whatever. They yes,
It was the fake sugar drinks.
they fit the bill, but it wasn't doing well for her. And so as I watched her just struggle, and and her brother's doing it, but I see success. And initially, like I said, I really wasn't into it. I was like, I have to be ready. And so something just clicked with just watching her, and I was like, you know what, I'm jumping in. So I jumped in. I said, I want to do this alongside you. I want to do whatever you're doing. She's like, well, because she tried to justify, well, you could do the different carnivore, and you can have cheese, and you can do this, and you can, and you could do these things. And I said, I just want to do this one with you so that this 90 days, and originally I think I said I just was going to do 30 days or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the very beginning, like a few days in, I was like,
I
I'm
was
just going to
only
do
going to do 30 as well. Initially.
I'm just going to do 30. But very quickly, as we jumped on this, and as I, I don't want to say I like to prove people wrong, but I don't like for people to tell me that I'm being unhealthy and that I'm going to get sick and that what are you doing? This is terrible for your body, your cholesterol, your everything is going to be way off. So when people tell me I can't do something, that's when I do it. So I was like, I'm doing this for the 90 days. Well, as we kind of got into this venture, and ended up doing blood work, and I ended up doing all these things, blood pressure, and I'm really tracking everything so that when I report each 30 days, that I'm able to report, I'm not doing the blood work, but every 90 days, because 30 days, I don't think that's really necessary. But I'm doing the blood work more 90 days, but just the 30-day, hey, look what it's doing to my weight, my body fat, my blood pressure. Let's do all these things that everybody, my mood, the only thing that I would say that I've noticed at this point would be my cardiovascular is not where I normally am. And again, I think it's because of I'm not consuming enough fats. And it's just been kind of hard for me because I get up at 3:45 in the morning. I'm busy until usually don't go to bed till 11:30, sometimes midnight. So it's not great for the carnivore to be only sleeping that little bit of time. But my energy is very sustained. So I guess I'm kind of derailing a little bit on that. But so really, I got in it to support her. I mean, basically, it's put to support her, and along the way, we've just decided that we're going to do more than 30 days. And so then it became 90 days. And then I approached her and I said, well, why don't we do a step down to where we're doing, lion ish, because we are doing
Ish,
butter.
because butter and like this is like a LaCroix water.
I'm not doing that. She's doing it.
Well, that doesn't have any sugars in it, but I mean the fake sugars.
But I am doing an electrolyte with
Yes,
some
Dr. Berg's
yeah,
electrolyte.
so it's
And
got
some
a little bit of
element.
stevia in it, but yeah, so I'm bringing so then we decided, well, we'll transition into, the next one, BBBE, after this one, and
which
then
is adding in the bacon and eggs.
bacon and eggs.
Beef, butter, bacon, eggs. We're going to do that for 90 days.
Yep. And again, at that point, neither one of us, like, she's down to her
I'm at my high school weight.
high school weight.
And it's just stayed there.
And that's just in 2 months.
I was down to my high school weight probably in 3 weeks, maybe a month.
Not quite. Probably about
maybe a month. And I was getting concerned I was losing too much weight because I lost about 20 pounds, and I've just stayed there. And once I remembered, wait, this is my high school weight, I was able to pull out all my clothes. Yeah, I have all my clothes from when I was smaller. But I just had a hard time throwing them away. I don't like to waste things, I'm wearing my jeans again that, and my body, I haven't lost anymore. I just stay right there. I'm right under 5'4", and I'm at 103, which is what I weighed between 100 and 105 in high school. And I actually feel this sense of health. Initially I was concerned I was losing too much too fast, but your body knows where it's supposed to be. It knows. It's, there's a, what's that called? Just that middle of the road where
like
it knows.
homeostasis. Yeah.
Homeostasis.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
So,
That's awesome.
So after the beef, butter, bacon, eggs, then
we're gonna do all meat, and
that'll be 90 days.
All meat, and I'm gonna probably add cheese in that phase. I don't know if she's gonna, but
Probably try.
But I think I'm gonna add cheese and see what my body does with the cheese. Just because there's things like, what's the thing with waffles?
Chaffles, the cheese waffles you can make into sandwiches.
I am dying to have one of those things right now. So I'm looking forward to definitely doing something like that. And as far as my weight goes, I'm down, 15 pounds in not quite 2 months. I only wanted to lose about 20. So I'm not trying to lose a whole lot more. My kids and I have a little bit of a thing because they're always wanting to show me their abs and say, "Dad, look at my abs." So
teenagers.
So I told them, I said, "You wait. After 90 days, your dad's gonna have better looking abs than you do." So because I have a little bit more muscle than they have and stuff like that, so it's kind of become a little bit of a competition. So I do feel like I will probably find my homeostasis probably in the 50s, 150 something, probably. But my goal was really only 160 to 165. But I'm coming down so much, and I'm not losing it super, super fast. Matter of fact, my first 30 days, I came down about 10 pounds, almost 10 pounds. But I actually gained 1 pound of muscle so I lost a total of, I think it was like 11 or 12 pounds, because I had lost 10, 11 pounds, whatever it was, and I had added a pound of muscle. So, that's why people, sometimes they don't realize that, yes, the scale plays some of, factor in it, but you really got to look at where your body fat, your composition comes in. And so that's been really nice.
Yeah. Do you find your performance in the gym as far as weightlifting has changed at all?
It definitely has gone down a little bit, but again, I think it's all fat related. I struggle. I eat calorie wise. I think I get enough calories because I probably consume 25 to 3,000 calories a day. Um, pretty consistently. And my job is not super demanding. Like, we have a food truck as well, so that can be a little bit of walking around and moving and stuff like that. But it's not, like, I'm not lifting a lot. I'm just moving. So my daily resting metabolism rate is at around 1750, 1775 is what I burn just doing nothing. So I'm definitely consuming more than what I do if I just did nothing, but I'm still losing, and I'm satiated, so I'm not over full. I'm not hungry really ever. Sometimes at night I try to eat something higher in fat and stuff because I do suffer with some leg cramping a little bit in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
And so I find when I eat something a little bit later that's kind of like ground beef, fattier, and I put some salt on it, and I usually have some type of electrolyte thing at night, it definitely helps, you know. But, and it's hard because you're trying to stay hydrated. And, with being carnivore, there's nothing to hold the water, whereas carbs would hold the water. So you have salt that holds the water. And so you're trying to have enough salt to make your body, hold some water. And so you end up, so you find yourself really peeing a lot, but not overly peeing. Like people are like, oh, don't you pee all the time? I'm like, not any more than your normal person. That my peas are just longer. You know what I mean? So, I mean, it's not that I go necessarily a whole lot more frequent. I just pee a long time.
Piggybacking on what he was saying, so we have 5 kids, and 2 of them have already moved out of the house, and we have 3 teenage boys at home. The oldest of the 3 teenage boys it will be 18 in December, and his goal was to run a marathon before he turned 18.
Yeah.
With his dad, and his dad has run many a marathon. So he's noticing that he is much more tired in his run. He can't run quite as fast, and we discuss it. And like he was saying, I think it's that fat adaptation. You're going from running off of sugars to running off of fat. So there is some play on that, and we are still trying to figure that out. Like
Yeah.
how what's I track macros in the Lose It app, which has been really helpful. And I'm doing like 70-30 fats to proteins. Um, but, and so because we're eating about the same, he's probably getting the same, but it just doesn't seem like it's quite enough. Or maybe we don't quite know yet if you're fat adapted. Like I think we are at this point, especially because of all that you're burning, especially by looking at us physically. But the fact that he's still struggling in that area as far as sustained energy makes me wonder if there's a piece we're missing, or if there's something else we need to do that we haven't figured out yet.
Yeah.
So, when you were transitioning in, did either of you suffer cravings? And if you did, how long did it take to get over that?
I initially, it was difficult, that first start. You probably like 3 days. And I would say that was actually what I was saying to him to get him to try it. Because once you start to see what it does to you physically, you want to tell people, which is why we're here. So he, having no knowledge of it, was like, well, I'm so busy, which he is. We have 2 gyms, a food truck, making shirts. We have a mini farm here. There's just a lot going on. So once I realized that eating this way not only satiated you for longer periods of time, it actually took the cravings away. So I think it was only about 3 days when my body was like, whoa. I remember I went to a Bible study at church, and I want to say it was within the week after starting. And one of the ladies, it was her birthday, and so she had brought in strawberry shortcakes, and they were on every table. So normally you're sitting on your hands, you just staring at that, and you're trying not to look at it, and like, no, I don't want you. I knew it was there. I knew it would be delicious, but I had no craving. And that's when I really started to tell him, I'm like, you don't understand. Like, you don't have to prepare, because he was like, I need more time. I need to be able to plan meals. Um, so I'm thinking, I mean, he'd have to say, but that may have been part of it, realizing that it's actually the easier way. So around what was it when I started craving? 50 days. So
No,
right now
yours
I'm
was
at
30
64.
something. It's
So
in the 30s.
so a little after, maybe 5 weeks, 5, 6 weeks. Right now I'm at 65 days.
Yeah.
I think I'm at 65 days. Um,
60, 64.
six,
So I'm at 60.
60. So, or you're at 50.
50.
So I'm at 64.
Yeah.
So right around 6 weeks, 5, 6 weeks, it was all of a sudden, which I've read it on other things. I read comments a lot on YouTube's to get ideas from other people, what they're going through. And I had read that at some point, usually 6 to 7 weeks, it's almost like your body starts all over again. That was very hard, but my craving more than anything was fruit. So that was when I tried drinking the Element again. They have grapefruit salt. which is so delicious. And it made me feel like I was getting that craving that scratched. And, but again, I'm lion diet ish. So we're only doing the red meat, but that kind of throws you out of actually being lion diet. But I try not to be too legalistic in life. I want to be successful.
Yeah.
So I would say that lasted probably almost 2 weeks of just a struggle. But then it went away again. So I'm back again to, well, I guess, yeah, it was probably about 2 weeks, and I'm back to being satiated. Sometimes we're struggling lately with a little food boredom. Like, so today for lunch, he made steak, but he also made some hamburger, and it kind of felt like we had a side, right? Had some different flavors and consistencies to kind of keep it exciting. But yeah, yeah. So what about you for food cravings?
Craving wise, I mean, it really, I don't know, like she said, it really, when I realized, and she said it and I had forgot about that, but really, when I realized how easy it was, and she instantly, I got the best wife in the world. She instantly started preparing the food for me. I'm normally the meat cook. So usually any meat, I'm the one cooking it, but she instantly just jumped in. And a lot of times, if I'm home and I can cook it, I would prefer to cook it myself. But she jumped in and I never missed a beat. Craving wise, I love steak. So I had a little bit of like energy kind of stuff that first 3 days, which is to be expected as you're getting rid of those carbs and stuff like that. But it was the meat and food. I found myself eating way too much meat the first week. So I was overstuffed that first week, I think, really. And as time came on, I was like, I'm eating too much food. It's just, I'm blah, you know. So, but I think the thing that, and I mentioned it to her later on, and to my kids, or they kind of actually, our one son, this 18, almost 18-year-old we were talking about, he did a week with us, with me in the beginning. And the one thing that we kind of all came together and discussed later was our teeth.
Oh yeah.
Just how amazingly smooth our teeth went in a couple days. I noticed it. That was the first thing I noticed. I think I told her, and then our son comes to us and says, "Weirdest thing, my teeth feel super clean." And you start thinking about it, and then that got me on the whole thing as I tell people and clients and stuff at the gym, I'm like, think about like wolves. And that was the big one for me, that it just struck me. Like, I think of a wolf when a wolf is growling, and you look at their teeth, they're extremely white and they don't have any plaque or any buildup on them. And all they eat is meat and bones and stuff like that. And I started thinking about our dog, and I started thinking about my own teeth. And you start thinking about all these things that you're like, man, everybody that eats a normal
Sad.
Eastern diet, we're this, we've got plaque on our teeth, they're not white, they're yellow, they're all this stuff. And so that for me was like my first thing I noticed out of everything. I think even before energy or before anything was just how smooth. Because, by the end of the day, you kind of lick your teeth and you feel like a film, and it's just kind of like, ugh, I got to brush my teeth. Whereas now, I don't have that. And like I was in Nicaragua, and so brush my teeth every day while on the trip home. I'm in the airport, I'm doing all this stuff, so you're not brushing your teeth so as much. And so I missed my teeth one night, and I woke up the next morning, and I'm just, you just kind of rub your tongue across your teeth, and it's felt the same as it would the day before, you know what I mean? So, I'm not saying an advocate for not brushing your teeth. I'm just saying, I don't miss it. I mean, one of the things recently that I would say that I noticed was on that same trip to Nicaragua, I was able to stay doing carnivore in a second world country. You think, oh man, am I going to be able to do this? And it was not that hard. The meat was obviously more fresh than we get here. So the meat was fine. It was all good. Everything was great on that side of it. But my mom, who was there with me as we're working on this Airbnb down there, she was like, "Well, you're starting to kind of smell," and I'm like, "Well, it's probably because I've literally been we've been working nonstop. It's hot, it's sweaty, and so that prompted me to use a natural deodorant, which I don't typically for. I mean, this was before Carnivore. I never really. I mean, I told her for years I don't use deodorant a lot. I have a deodorant thing in my bag just in case if I smell myself or something. But so I started wearing it a couple times down there just kind of for my mom's sake and because I was like, oh man, I don't want to smell. And the craziest thing, I mean, yes, it's natural deodorant, but I started having like my armpits started getting itchy, and it's a natural deodorant. So I'm like, what is that from? So the only thing I went from there was like, again, something in my body's detoxing and cleansing itself, and here I am putting this foreign body under the armpit, which is the skin is very sensitive under there. So is that a response, a negative response to a natural deodorant? So
Yeah. Yeah, I think I've had the experience with the teeth as well, like, and not feeling like I need to use a toothbrush all the time. Like as soon as I wake up, I'm not like, oh, I've got to brush my teeth.
yeah,
And and also the thing with the deodorant, like I always had to wear deodorant before. And since I've been carnivore, I've felt like maybe one day when it's extremely hot and humid that I've had to put it on.
yeah,
Otherwise, I don't feel like I like literally don't feel like I need to wear it. And those couple of things are signals to me that this is a species appropriate way to eat because we're
yeah,
not having to rely on marketed products to keep us feeling normal. It's
yeah,
yeah,
Yeah, same here.
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
Mm.
I haven't worn deodorant now. I think it's been since about the third week. I just haven't needed it. Um, and I don't think I've ever not. And I'm like a sweaty sleeper. So even if I, shower before bed and I would put deodorant on and it's, natural, aluminum free, paraben free, but I would need to put it on because I would wake up from sleeping feeling stinky. I could smell myself and I was just gone. Um, I'm actually starting to look at the whole not washing your hair thing. I'm still in like the research part, but the idea of all of these things that we've been lied to that we don't actually need, we don't actually require. So
cost a lot of
it
money.
costs a lot of money
Yeah,
and it's chemicals going on to your largest organ, your skin.
yeah,
So, yeah, another big thing I noticed right out the gate was all of my cellulite is gone. So I'm almost 50. And so to have, it's just a norm for women. I don't know the biology behind it, but it's just, it's maybe even how it's how the fat is back there is what makes that dimply look. And so, when you sit down, your leg kind of goes out to the side and it's always dimpled. That was the very first thing I noticed was like, oh, there's no dimpling. And I look in the mirror, it's just completely gone. And as a woman, middle-aged woman, I don't know that I've ever not had it. And I've never been like overweight, but I feel like I've always had that. And the other thing is that, I had 3 C-sections. My hips are tiny, so my first son was an emergency C-section, and I was in the military, and so they said after that I had to have a C-section for the next 2. So then I had a partial hysterectomy, and so the scar is the same everywhere, and it's right at the bottom of your stomach, just straight across like a smiley face. Well, it created like a shelf, is what I would call it. And so if this is your stomach, it kind of went in like that because you have fat. I don't it's not something I like look at all the time or really notice anymore. It's been years. I mean, my youngest son's 14, but all of a sudden I just happened to realize, I don't know if maybe going to the bathroom, pull my pants up and my hand run over. I was like, oh my gosh, the shelf is gone. It's completely flat. I don't think it's ever in, my oldest son's 14. I had the hysterectomy 1 year after he was born and I've always had a shelf there. Even when at one point in my life, I was weight training to compete. and I still had a little shelf. This is the only time there's nothing. It's completely flat, and I'm like floored by that. Just all of these like little things.
I've still got a shelf. I'm trying to get rid of it, but it's coming. It's coming. I'm getting there. So,
Nice. Yeah. So, day to day, how are you both eating? Are you like doing one meal a day, two meals a day?
Two.
I probably eat more like 3 to 4. I would say at least 3. Sometimes it's a fourth one. Like I said, at night I've been trying to eat just a little something else, because it doesn't stay on me. I mean, like, you know, I'm not gaining weight or anything like that if I eat that meal at night, and I don't feel bloated. I used to have this bloat, and I'd be farty and gassy all the time, and that stuff. I mean, I fart occasionally, but hardly ever. Do you know what I mean anymore? So mine is probably that's why I'm getting a little bit more like 2,500 to 3,000 calories, where she's probably getting
His day is a lot longer than
50,
mine is too.
1,500 to you know.
And I'm not a breakfast eater. I just really have never. It takes a while for me to be hungry, and I don't eat my first meal. So we work on the food truck together. He runs the gyms, but we also have like a healthy food truck. Oh, it's I want to say healthy. It's real food as compared to fried food, and it's solar, and so we work it together.
Yeah.
Just to kind of backtrack a little bit, when everything kind of fell apart for me physically, the winter of 2020. I only lasted about 2 years after that until I ended up having to leave the workforce. Um, I was a financial analyst, and I could no longer analyze. The brain fog was so bad. I was so tired. I was no longer giving what I was being paid to my job. And I'm to me that was stealing. But I was unwell, and I was doing the best I could. And so anyway, we talked about it, and I left the workforce, and I've been on the path trying to figure out what's wrong, seeing specialists and such. So this is my first time having a job again. We had decided that instead of going back, I worked for the federal government. Instead of going back to the government, I would instead invest my gifts into our business, and just as I got healthier. So before becoming carnivore, and it was still a struggle, but I've been on a pathway trying to get better. I started working on the food truck. So anyway, all of that to say that I he's already up. He's got clients in the morning, or he does the food truck on his own in the morning, and then I do the lunch shift with him. So I make food and I bring it. That way he's got food and he doesn't have to come back here, take that time. So I make enough food for us for lunch. And then I usually make dinner too, which is, steaks
that I can bring with me. I mean,
yeah,
I usually have enough for 2 meals on my own after she brings
yeah.
the food.
And I go to Costco every 2 weeks. I'm a big fan of data. As my brain gets healthy, I love analysis. And so I calculate out based on how much we would eat each meal, how many pounds we need. And I track. So I'm tracking. I go to Costco. I get the big ones. And then one night I'll cut it and do what's that? The vacuum seal them, and then we survey them. So every couple of days I survey enough for a couple of days, and then they stay in the refrigerator, and I just pull them out, do a quick like pan fry because they're already surveyed, pan sear, and with lots of butter, grass fed. That the green package at Costco, it's so good. um and then a hamburger, lots of steak and hamburgers, and that's pretty much it. We're There's a lot of cuts that we didn't know anything about, so I'm learning. I'm researching and trying to understand and figure out better ways to cook things. And what our favorites are. So that's what we're doing.
And we're transitioning. We actually put a deposit on half a cow.
Yeah.
So we'll be getting a half a cow in October. So, you really, I think, it's really caused both of us. And I've been in the health profession since 97. So I've been dealing with the body for a long time, but this carnivore has really got me excited about it again. Cause when you've been doing something so long, like stagnant and kind of, same old mundane kind of thing. You're dealing with the same people, and you have great clients and stuff, but one person's telling them this, one person's telling them this. If you look at the health system, they're going to tell them that all the stuff that's really healthy for us is bad, and the stuff that's bad is good. So you're fighting a client and their medical doctor who is getting paid by insurance, is getting paid by
Pharmaceutical company.
pharmaceuticals, I mean, all these different things. And they're like, well, they're helping me. I mean, they're not. They're treating a symptom that's caused by something else that they told you to consume. Or,
They're helping themselves. That's the problem.
yeah, yeah. I mean, and you understand to a certain level, like, they don't have a job if we're healthy. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So, I
Yeah.
mean, and we've talked about several different things with different people, and a lot of times, I don't blame doctors. I don't blame all these people because, if you're taught something, that's all you know. So, if you're taught, as a kid, think about it. The way you were raised. If your parents told you this and this and this, you believe this, this, and this. And until somebody shoves it down your face and says, no, you're wrong, and then makes you look into it or research it, you don't realize that you've been lied to forever.
And it's hard to break free from that
And then
Yeah.
when they throw the word conspiracy out there on everything, you
intentionally.
know, so that people are like, oh, that's just conspiracy. Ah, no, I'm not touching that. That's not real. But really, is it? But anyways, that's a
Yeah.
rabbit trail there.
But it's a big one for the cholesterol because, again, it's a very family feel to the gym.
Yeah.
So
And
the
and
people
I
he
have a
goes to,
hereditary issue with high cholesterol anyways.
so the people that he, a lot of people in the gym that, he has known for a long time and they've got a relationship, they're worried. They want to know. And so research again, so I'm trying to understand so that I can ensure he can explain it well. And I come to find out that the high LDL isn't even what you think. It is the fact that it's a transporter. It's not, and you want them to be full, and it is a transporter. And I'm probably not explaining it well, but the point is that what we've been told. So he's getting testing done and wanting to make sure the numbers look good because all of his clients, he's trying to guide them in good health. They're already fighting against him because they hear that high cholesterol meat is high cholesterol bad. And so he's getting tested and wanting to make sure the numbers are good. And so I'm trying to get that figured out, and then I come to realize that what the test isn't even accurate as to what's actually happening with cholesterol, which is mind-blowing to me. So
Yeah.
I'm still trying to figure out how to work that one out because then you
I,
circle back to the whole conspiracy thing.
Yeah.
yeah. I think the biggest issue with, especially with something like cholesterol, is that for marketing purposes, if it's, selling drugs or whatever, that kind of thing, it's it's very beneficial for them just to say high cholesterol bad, low cholesterol good. But the reality is that it's a nuanced discussion and everyone is different. Like high cholesterol might not be bad for, you know, this subset of people, but for people that have particular kind of damage in their body from something else, like let's say they've been smoking all their lives or something like that, then having high cholesterol might actually make things worse. I'm just pulling these ideas out of the air, but the point is there's so much context involved in this, but for marketing purposes, context gets in the way, right? So it's just easier for them to say high cholesterol means bad,
Yeah.
Well,
and then
and I
everyone
heard,
goes, oh yeah.
yeah, exactly. And I heard that they moved the numbers because statin is apparently one of the biggest money makers of all time. And so if the numbers are moved to where you are checking the box of needing statins is lower, that's more money, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, it
So
was something like 300 cholesterol was normal in 1970, but with the introduction of statins in the 80s, it was like, oh, well, cholesterol shouldn't be that high.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
Exactly.
yeah.
Mine was at 230, so not really super high, but it's still in the high range, you know. But I'm also athletic and all this stuff, so I do agree. I think context is everything, and I weigh 167 pounds. Somebody that weighs 350 pounds, their high cholesterol, my high cholesterol, I think, are totally different, in what it
Yeah,
does.
exactly. I think there's also, for me, there also feels like it's when you're metabolically healthy, when every metabolic marker that you have is good and your LDL is high or your cholesterol generally is high, it feels like that's not a shouldn't be necessarily a bad thing, like because basically everyone that goes carnivore at some point they become very metabolically healthy, but they're probably going to have high LDL, but
Right.
they feel better than they ever have in their life. It
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know. Mm,
Yeah, exactly.
So that'll be the hard part is, one, giving them data that,
mm,
be good, could be bad, but then also if it's not the way that I'm hoping, to be able to say, well, hey, but
Understand that.
look at what it's done for me. But the problem is because I'm not obese or anything like that, people already look at me as like, well, you're already healthy. So what does, now you're just got high cholesterol and you're healthy, so that's the struggle for me is I want to help as many people as possible. And I do feel like carnivore is not for everyone, but I think everyone can do it. You know what I mean? With exception of some medical conditions and things like that. But for the most part, I think it's easy enough. I think that's been the biggest thing is I've found that it's tremendously easy.
Yeah.
There's
yeah.
no we don't guess like what are we having for dinner? Steak or ground beef.
And you're not tied to a kitchen anymore, right? You're not like, oh, just see what's in the fridge now. I need a snack. There's none of that anymore, right?
Yeah,
No, it's
yeah.
simple.
I mean, I people say it's expensive, and I tell them I don't think it is. I really, even if we're buying grass fed or any kind of meat like that, yes, that is more expensive. But you're not buying the potato chips or the pastas, the this, the that, you're not. And I'll be honest, we don't go out to eat as much, so you save a ton of money by not going out to eat and spending. I mean, a family
Yeah.
of five of us, and we're spending $200.
Now, with
You know
the
what I
inflation.
mean? So it's just insane.
Yeah.
So you don't spend the $200 on a meal that for going out. You spend even if everybody had steaks, we're still not going to spend anywhere close to that.
Right.
So we really do. I don't think it's I think it could be a little bit more expensive, but not as drastic as most people say it is. And really, if we just cut back and had a few less steaks and a little bit more ground beef or and
Yeah.
once we get our cow, we've done the numbers. I think it's 490. It's going to be around 4.99 a pound.
And that's for any of them. That total, it's one
That's
ends up being
yeah.
4.99 a
So
pound.
whether you're T-bone or filet
Ribeye,
mignon or
ribeye.
whatever, I mean, it's all 4.99 a pound. So at that point, I think we'll actually be saving money.
Yeah.
You know.
And I
Yeah.
do want to say too. So he started, which goes alongside with data versus real life, right? Um, he's tracking his journey, I guess, Instagram,
Yeah.
Facebook, just little snippets. And sometimes I will come in when I tell him something that's occurred that is very important to me on my health journey. And so we are hoping that even with the numbers not being in a place where people are like, oh, look, because what we already talked about, they're seeing the differences. And again, for him being healthy, I mean, I can definitely tell the weight loss, but for me, it is massive, Dave. I mean, I feel the tears coming on even now just telling you because it's given my life back.
It really has.
I haven't, it's been 4 years. This winter will be 4 years. And I, even though I'm not completely healthy. Okay. So just so everybody knows, I'm still on a journey. I'm not completely healthy, but the hope and encouragement that I have is huge. Um, I don't know how long it was before I realized that. So when I wake up in the morning, my cortisol, it's non-existent until 11. Um, so I had it tested. I was seeing an adrenal specialist for a year. It did help me, but I wasn't fixed all the way. So I knew there was more, which is how I ended up here. And my cortisol was tested for the day. And normal people have a cortisol release between like 6 and 7 a.m., and it's the highest of the whole day. I don't have any, or I didn't at that point until 11 a.m., and it's tiny, and it doesn't actually start getting to a high point until 1. So anytime before 1 p.m., it's not just that I'm sleepy, my body doesn't work correctly. It goes back to that flu thing I was telling you. I feel like I have the flu. I shuffle. I was shuffling because my muscles are so weak that it's hard to walk. It Again, it's not that they don't work, it's that they are so tired. It takes a lot of energy just to get out of bed. And
I mean,
so
and I could attest to that. I mean, I would see her, and as a husband, you see your wife. I mean, she's not old. To see her literally shuffling like my nana who's 92 years old. You know what I mean? It's really hard to watch. You know, so yeah, I mean, it's tremendous. I mean, it's but night and day.
And once I realized, after I think it had been twice, when, because I'm not on his channel that often. I mean, he works a lot and he's kind of doing it on the go. But again, if something big, he'll have me just come on because it's encouragement. And our goal is to encourage others what's possible for them, that you don't have to stay in sickness. And I realized that twice I had woken up feeling like a normal person, where I'm still not a morning person, but I didn't have to shuffle. I shuffle. It's been almost 4 years. And so he had me on his little channel just explaining that's huge. I'm not fixed, but these little things are what really keep you going and excite you. I'm at the point now where I haven't shuffled in probably, what, 2, 3 weeks. I mean, he's not usually here in the morning when I wake up, but I'm still sleepy. I'm still groggy. I'm still, I want to be a morning person like he is, but not quite there. But the fact that my muscles are working, and I am a goal setter by nature. I love accomplishing things. I love analyzing and researching and learning new things. And I haven't been that way. I shy away from being around people. I had been. I didn't set goals. I really felt pretty hopeless. There was a lot of times when I really just didn't want to live anymore. And because of, my family, I wouldn't take my life, but a lot of times I didn't want to live anymore. Um, because it just feels like, what's the point, right? When you have nothing to give in life. And I actually have goals again. I'm going back to the gym, and
Starting a business.
I'm starting a business. We have a
Like we
we have
don't have enough stuff to do, but she wants to start another business.
we have a lot of stuff that we could sell, and I was selling stuff on Facebook, and I realized, I could like resell on eBay and like make a little business. And so I did. Like, normally he has Canva for the gym, so we can make things for the gym, and Canva has always confused me. I didn't find it very intuitive, and I would give up. I actually created my own like storefront. I created my own logo, and I was like, I did it. And it wasn't hard, but it's because my brain is working again. I can think again, and I'm excited about life again, which just feels like a huge gift.
And that's such a big thing when you've got the hope back, right? Because there's nothing worse once when you don't have hope at all. It's just like every struggle is 100 times worse, right?
Yeah, when there's no hope.
And I mean, we are big into the church and the Lord and all that stuff. So you would think that we would have hope, and to see her struggle so much, and and then as a husband, not be, I can't, there's nothing I could do. So then my mood is brought down because, so she's trying to not be upset or sad or hopeless around me, but I know her. So, that affects me. So it's really done a wonder for really both of us because now she's excited. I'm excited. She's happy. I'm happy. You know what I mean? So,
If mama ain't happy, nobody's happy, right?
so, and I love to travel. I mean, we we got married. I mean, that was a big thing as I'm like, I want to go places with you. I want to do things, and we just haven't really been able to because of, you know, work and health and all this stuff. And as we're getting older and our kids will be out of the house at some point here in the next 4 years, it's, we have been setting ourselves up for years about being able to travel. Well, I wasn't sure that was going to ever happen because I've done mission trips and it's always just me by myself. And even when I go to Nicaragua now, it's my mom and and I want my wife with me. I love my mom, but I want my wife with me. So to see her start to be excited and we can talk about like, well, maybe we'll go here, or maybe we can buy a house here, or maybe we can, it's so carnivore in the short of it has really brought my wife back to me, and allowed us to be able to plan for our future, which we've been wanting to do for a long time instead of doing the rat race of just trying to chase money.
Well, and I do want to add on to that because this is just another amazing thing about carnivore. Part of the reason with me not traveling and not wanting to travel, I have neck arthritis and I've had it. It's a degenerative disc in like C3 and C5, I think. I've had it like since my early 20s, which is weird, right? I think it was because when I was young, I wanted to be a gymnast and I come from a poor family and they could not afford to give me gymnastics lessons. So my best friend down the street was trying to teach me on her mattress in the garage. And I can't tell you how many times I fell on my neck trying to learn to do a back handsprings and stuff. So I really think that that's what happened. Well, it's hard for me to sleep someplace else. Like I have a special pillow and then I've got another pillow and then, just the whole thing. Um, what I noticed is since starting carnivore, I've only had to go to the chiropractor one time. So normally, it's so when you've got degenerative disc, it's just that things get off, right? So I would go and he'd adjust me and things would be good until they weren't again, which is usually 6 weeks. Um, I only had to go once, and normally when I get one that bad, I woke up with it, which is odd, but it's happened. Usually when that happens and it's that bad where I have to go that same day, I end up having to go 3 to 5 times, like in a row, because it's just not alleviated. I went once. I don't think that's ever happened. Like I haven't had to go but one time, and the one time I had to go was the only. I didn't have to go consecutively, which I don't think that's ever happened. I'm noticing I don't have the pain all the time, which then gives me hope I can travel and not have to bring my pillow everywhere. So it's just another thing that is super amazing.
That's
Yeah.
Super,
awesome.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So I've got a question, same question for both of you. If you were advising a friend about starting with carnivore, or you're advising one of your clients, something like that, what's the number one tip you would give them to give them the best chance of success?
I would say for me, get your fats, get enough fat. Fat, while because it wasn't a weight thing for me, it was a health thing for me. It wasn't something I thought about. I feel like a lot of people in our life that we've told the struggle for them has been weight, and we're trying to kind of help them because having extra weight also gives you other problems and you end up feeling uncomfortable. So fat is almost like a bad word, but what I've come to understand is fat is like the oil in your car. You need that, and it makes a huge difference. Like even making that move in your body, becoming fat adapted, we spoke about it earlier. Again, there's questions because of his energy. uh but I feel like a completely different human being. Like, I feel completely different. And once I started adding more fats, I was able to go to the bathroom more, and things just felt smoother. It felt uh everything just almost felt like it clicked together. I feel like I'm in a completely different body. Not just because my body leaned out, it feels like things work better. They feel like they're all linked into place properly. My brain is working, and as I dig and try to understand, it's the fat. And they say you should do, the higher the fat. I think the more sick you are is what I'm understanding, the more fat you need. But even if you're not, you need more fat. And so figuring out how to get more fat in, butter has been great for us. That's been an extra, because not all steak fat is tasty in your mouth. So some of it goes to our dog. But yeah, what about you?
Um, I would say the first thing that came to mind when you said that was don't overthink it.
Mhm.
I feel like when I first got started and stuff like that, like I'm like, well, what? How am I going to prepare? How am I going to, there's all these things of like it's going to be so hard. But I think you just overthink it. I mean, really, it's a super simple process. I mean, really, it's you know, I agree with the fat. You have to figure the fat out. That's a little bit tricky, I think I've found. But if you just keep it simple, I mean, there's, like I said, there's no question on what we're going to eat, especially if you do something simple like the lion or the BBBE. I mean, it tells you there's four things you can have, or there's two things you can have. I mean, and you just, however you want to cook it. Well, I'm going to use butter to cook the bacon or the eggs, or I'm going to use bacon grease to cook the steak, or, whatever. It's, you overthink it. And then I don't do as much counting of the macros as she does because I don't really care.
I'm a data person.
I
It
just
excites me.
that's more work for me to do. I got to input in my phone. I don't have time for that. I'm just eating. So again, I don't overthink it. It's I know what I got to eat. I eat what I'm going to eat. When I get hungry, guess what? I eat again. And I already know what I'm eating, so it's so I really feel like it's easier than any other diet.
Truly.
I mean, like I said, I did vegan and I had great success and felt phenomenal, to be honest, on the vegan diet. I really did. But I ate all day long. I mean, I'm not lying. It's like 30 minutes later, I'm eating again. You're eating so much and I'm a lifter, so I'm trying to, keep my lean mass. And I think when I did that, I actually think I lost muscle during that diet. I lost 20 pounds in a month, but I lost muscle as well because I couldn't consume enough protein. There's just not enough in beans and tempura and all this, stuff that you're trying to have. Um, so again, I just keep it simple. I mean, don't
Yeah.
overthink. Just
Eat.
eat.
Both really good pieces of advice. I think, especially for someone who's just coming in, like you mentioned, Ali, fat is a bad word to most people, right?
Mhm.
So it's getting over that, and also, as you say, George, not overcomplicating things and just keeping it simple. And yeah, I've got to say, Ali, I appreciate data. As an IT person, I appreciate data, but also, when I'm in the kitchen, I'm probably a bit more like George. I don't want to measure things. I just want to eat. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Yes.
Well, that's why we
Um,
work well.
Yeah.
You know.
We're a good team.
yeah, yeah. So, do you have any social media, or any way people can reach out to you?
Yes. Well, he has. You could say what yours is, and
I would say,
is it under Fit Bodies?
well, my personal one would be Fit Bodies. I don't even know what it is. Fit Bodies Gory or Fit Bodies George. I don't know.
We can
I
send it to you.
We can send it to you, but I know that the gym is Fit Bodies Unlimited. Um, but yeah, we can just send that to you or whatever. I'll send my personal one, and then that way, because that's where I'm doing more of the carnivore kind of updates and stuff like that is through my personal. But we're not huge social media people.
Yeah.
So this is, we'll watch some people here and there, but I mean, we're not, at least
On it
I'm
as
not.
much.
I'm not.
And I started a big thing to me. It's actually in my darkest times what kept my hopes up was um, realizing that you don't go through anything in life that the Lord doesn't allow for not only your benefit but the benefit of somebody else. Scripturally it says that you know he allows you to go through things so that you can comfort and encourage someone else. And it was actually the me lion Courtney. Um she i really feel like a lot of what she has going on I really just connected with and watching her. And she was talking about it one day, and she doesn't post a lot either because she's MECFS, which I struggle with the CFS portion. But it was something she said that day that I just felt like the Lord laid on my heart. You know what? Now is the time, because you're already starting to notice changes even though you're not healthy yet. You're not 100%. You're already noticing changes. So why not start encouraging somebody? So I that same day I started a channel, and I think it's called at sign AF adrenal fatigue carnivore, but I'll send it to you. Or Allison is carnivore. I'll send the information to you. But I've only posted twice on there. Because I don't have a whole lot to say, but when my goal is to encourage. I made a list. I started making a list because I'm noticing huge changes internally for me over this last 2 weeks. So I either watch videos because it's very encouraging, usually yours, because it's everyday people, right? Or I made a list and I'm tracking now all of the blessings that the Lord has given me through bringing carnivore into my life. And so the last video, I just went through that list, because if somebody sees it and they're encouraged by that, maybe they'll try it and have health freedom, really have health freedom. I did want to give one other plug too to somebody else you had on your channel. um I think his name was Ben. I don't remember for sure, but it was the app he created, Why Carnivore. That has been hugely helpful. What a blessing. And the fact that he gives it away for free, I have it saved on my phone. And he has a part for adrenal fatigue where he did all the digging. He's got everything. He's got, fat. It's really everything. It is the most extensive I have found. And you can just click and you can go right to what you're struggling with and click on videos to encourage you. It's beautiful. So, yeah,
Yeah. Well, I'll link to all your socials below. Um,
thank you.
George and Ali, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your stories. I really appreciate your time.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you
Thank
for
you so
having
much.
us.
Yeah,
Appreciate it
it's
so much,
great.
Dave.